Hey folks, Sandy from Sandy's Guitars here, and I hope you caught last week's episode where I got to take a tour of JP's new guitar workshop here in good old Windsor, where I got to take a tour of the place and got to see the new facility. This week, as promised, we're going to dive right into an interview with JP. And yeah, I'm going to ask him a bunch of questions, find out about how he became the guitar tech he is today, and, see if he has any advice for any aspiring luthiers. So, as always, hit the subscribe button before we get into it. But here's the interview. Here we go.
I had a couple questions for you because, I think you'll agree you don't become a guitar tech overnight.
You don't.
So with that said, how did you get into this?
So it's a bit of a long story. I'll try to make it short for the audience because I'm sure they all have other things to do. But when I was about 10, I guess, somewhere around there, my father had an acoustic guitar in his closet in his bedroom that I wasn't allowed to touch, but I would steal it. I would borrow it on occasion. The guitar was awful. Like, it was in the closet for a reason. The guitar was basically unplayable. The action was horrible, and as a kid, I was always very mechanically inclined. I could take things and rebuild them. I've just always had a natural tinkerer knack to me. My youngest daughter shares the same skill. Thankfully, it's so cool. It's awesome. Both my daughters are very skilled. Just for the record. So basically, I took that guitar and started tinkering with it because it was unplayable. I played it anyway. I played it for almost a year without, before thinking to myself, hey, you know what? I could probably make the action better on this guitar. And at the time, I'm sure I didn't have the word action back then. I was just, how do I make this guitar play better is how I was approaching it. So I did some reading, educated myself, and started doing work on that guitar, and I got the guitar to be quite playable. It's still in existence. My nephew owns it now. But yeah, I basically did everything I could except reset the neck to make the guitar more playable. So there was, saddle adjustments, truss rod adjustments, nut slot adjustments, just everything I could do, to try to make it more playable. Another way, so that's what got me started in luthiery, was the realizing that, hey, I can actually make guitars play better if I do certain things to it. I got really interested in it, and I studied it as a kid for years and years and years. I got really lucky as a kid. So this here is a guitar player repair guide.
Oh.
Dan Erlewine.
That's going back a bit.
This is going way back, and I was lucky enough as a kid to find this at a garage sale.
Nice.
And I was already deeply into wanting to be this. That's basically all I've ever wanted to do, and I ended up being in skilled trades for 30 years instead. That's fine. It paid the bills, and it allowed me to save up enough money to realize my dream here at JP's Underdog Guitar Repair. So that's been good. But I got lucky enough. It's like the stars came into alignment, and this just happened to be available. I think I paid maybe $1 for it, or $2 in a garage sale.
Money well spent.
I read this thing as a kid, inside and out. I don't know how many times, but it was my preferred reading for years. And I educated myself mostly through this, and even more recently. So let me digress just quickly. You don't ever stop learning in this trade. There's no such thing as, hey, I've achieved master class status, and I know everything there is to know. You're never gonna get there. You could spend your entire life. Even Dan Erlewine is taught things by other people. Dan Erlewine, if you're not familiar, is basically the progenitor of Stu Mac, or Stuart McDonald Tools, right? He was their original liaison for a lot of their tools, and designed a lot of their tools. So it's been a collaboration since then. if I send in ideas to them, they'll probably use them as well. If I find a better way to do something, it's constantly evolving. It's a fairly new trade, Lutherian guitar tech, guitar tech business. It's still a fairly, it's not like it's centuries old. I mean, it is technically if you go back to the 1800s when they were building lutes and stuff like that.
Guitars are a lot different from way back in the lute days.
There are some similarities in construction, but I mean, it is a lot different. We didn't CNC lutes back in the day. So there's another thing. But anyway, mostly through reading is how I've learned, through experience. There's no better teacher than experience. I've had the shop open for close to 4 years now, full time. People ask me that all the time. Well, what do you do for your day job? I'm like, this is my day job. I do this close to 70 hours a week when it's busy. And it's been busy pretty much from 3 months into putting the business together. This is my third location. You know that, Sandy. You've been to a couple of the old ones, right?
I have.
So
I had to check out the new one. So
yeah. So I'm beyond stoked to be in this new location. I can't even express how happy I am to finally be in a tailor-made space for me. There's no more stairs for people to deal with contending. My last location had half a flight of stairs going down to the shop, which was not great for my older customers. Also really not great for bringing in amplifiers in and out.
yeah.
Awful, to be honest. So this is better in that regard. There's a single door. Parking is good here. You don't have to pay for parking. You don't have to park on the street. There's a great big driveway. So it's another evolution, and it's another step to being, close to my most happiest place imaginable. I absolutely adore what I do for a living. I don't want to do anything else ever. So.
Well, good.
That's why I can do it for 70 hours a week and generally not get tired. I still get tired. I'm a human being. I'm not a machine. But what happens if you put too many hours in is your hours start to become less effective. There's a pushback, like there's a biological pushback. So I mean, everything in balance, I guess. But I do love what I do.
So here's a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I know I'm chuckling because I know I've given you a few guitars that gave you a bit of a workout. But what's the most difficult repair or restoration you've ever done?
So neck resets can be difficult. I've done quite a few of them now, but there was, trying to remember, there was a Hensel guitar, which I had to do a neck repair on, and it was like a 1930 something Hensel, Arthur Hensel, if you're not familiar, guitar, which were Canadian built back in the day, from an immigrant, I think German immigrant, I believe, makes sense. It's not Hansel and Gretel, but anyway, it was definitely a German fellow that emigrated to Canada, was building guitars here, and that was one of the most difficult neck resets I've ever done, but it turned out kind of great. So really happy with that. Another one that comes to mind was supplied by Dale Demore from Guitar Army. I'm actually wearing the t-shirt. Here, let me show you. One sec, you gotta see this. So
They'll appreciate
So that was basically through Guitar Army. Unfortunately, the band just disbanded like 2-3 weeks ago. But Dale's moved on to other things, and the other members have moved on to other things as well. Great guys, by the way. Dale actually helped keep my business afloat in the very early goings. So, and I'm getting back to my point, don't worry. So we talked about guitars, difficult guitars to work on. He brought me, as a joke, I think, brought me this Hofner guitar that had been in his garage for 25 years. And it was literally, and the bodies on those guitars are kind of laminated like plywood. It was coming apart, and the body was literally like sponging out. So I rebuilt that guitar from scratch. Everything you can think of that you can do to a guitar, I did to that guitar. But he brought it to me, he was laughing. He's like, "What do you think you can do with this?" Expecting me to tell him to hit the bricks. But I'm like, "Yeah, I can fix it." He's like, "Seriously?" I'm like, "Yeah, leave it with me, I'll fix it." And he did so much for me that I really just wanted to kind of like I restored the guitar, and he's actually played it live since then.
That's
Not bad
awesome.
for a guitar that sat in a garage for 25 years, but that was a really difficult repair. It was a complete refinish. I think I refretted it. He brought me a couple guitars that were super challenging. He brought me a Hagstrom Swede, which was basically just parts that laid in his garage as well for like 25 years. That was an interesting rebuild too. Really proud of that. Really proud of that job, to be honest. That guitar is awesome. I've actually played it on stage with Dale. So just kind of really proud of that early work.
Oh, it does beg a question though. Exactly what the heck is happening in that garage?
Well, so Dale's been in the music business. I mean, so they just celebrated that 25. They celebrated their 25th anniversary as a band. I think only the Rolling Stones have a better track record. But anyway, they've been around. They've been around for a long time, and when you've been around that long, you acquire a lot of instruments sometimes, and some of them, fall into disrepair and maybe fall out of memory even, right? And then all of a sudden you're cleaning out your garage, and it's like, oh geez, I remember this. I can't, they didn't even realize it was on the shelf maybe. So yeah, he brought me a lot of work in the early goings, and I owe a lot of my success to Dale. So Dale, if you're watching, thank you, buddy. Appreciate you. So yeah.
It's awesome. So here's a question for you. What do you believe makes a guitar truly great?
Oh, that's a loaded question. When it comes to, I'll try to keep it simple. Playability is important. You can have a guitar that sounds awesome, but it's just a bear to play. Some of the guitars that really sound great that are hard to play, you're going to work harder to play them because they sound great. But if you have a guitar that plays great and sounds great, to be specific, pickups in an electric guitar are basically the heart and soul of the guitar. An electric guitar is not going to sound good unless the electronics are decent, right? I did a lot of pickup swaps when I was a kid, and I experimented with a lot of things. And a good set of pickups is literally the difference between electric guitars sounding okay or sounding just absolutely phenomenal. It really does make that big of a difference. DiMarzio and Seymour Duncan were my go-tos as a kid. I'm kind of leaning more toward DiMarzio nowadays, which surprises me. Seymour Duncan has a pickup called the 59, which is basically a PAF reproduction. I have a set of those in one of my Epiphone Les Pauls, and I thought I found the holy grail. I'm like, oh my goodness, these things are great. And I purchased them in the blues set. So you get a 59 for the neck, 59 for the bridge. I recently picked up a couple DiMarzio PAF Pros that I put in that guitar right there, that Epiphone. And I think they're the best sounding pickups I've ever played on. And it's subjective though, folks. Some people like high gain pickups for those high gain tones. I'm more of a blues guitar player, blues and jazz. So that PAF tone for me is just the holy grail. That's what I look for. But it's all in. I could have another guitar player pick up that guitar, plug it in, and says maybe doesn't get it. You know what I mean? It's all up to the player. It really is. Acoustic guitars, what makes an acoustic guitar great? It just really comes down, again, it comes down to the sound and the tone, construction. You can buy a guitar that looks beautiful, but it's maybe the wood quality that went into it just isn't there. The style of X bracing in an acoustic guitar can really matter as well. So if you're looking at a Gibson acoustic, for example, they have a really wide X brace, which allows basically the belly of the guitar to really vibrate. So you get a lot of really deep bass tones out of those guitars. You know, like an old J45 or something like that. Just solid sounding acoustic guitar. I really like Gibson acoustic guitars. I've had a few Martins in here that I really have loved as well. I had a $10,000 Taylor in here once, not in this specific shop, but in my old shop.
Mm-hmm.
10 grand.
That's a lot.
100% Coco Bolo built. It was a great sounding guitar, but I don't know if I would ever spend 10 grand on a guitar. Again, if you can afford it, yeah, to each,
Each their own.
Do you, yeah, for sure.
So, one other question here for you, my friend. What advice would you give to aspiring luthiers?
So nowadays, right? So this was the old school way of learning how to get into that. There are luthier schools. I'm hoping to eventually do a couple classes here. There's been a big demand for it, so I will probably do classes on, how to do your proper setups, how to do refret, maybe that sort of thing. So the Brian Gloop School of Luthiery is I would highly recommend. They're located in, I think they're in Canada. Is that Canadian? Anyway, highly recommend him, Brian Gloop from the Gloop School of Luthiery. Fantastic. If you can't attend the classes though, the next best thing is literature. First and foremost is a good way to learn, but YouTube nowadays, honestly, if you're a person that can learn through watching somebody else do something, not everybody can do that. Some people need the text to do it, and they need to understand it through reading the text. If you're a visual person and you can watch somebody do something and see how they apply their tools, then that's a fantastic way to get into the trade. One specific YouTuber that I will highly recommend out of Hamilton, Ontario, is Ted Woodford. He's honestly like, I don't know. He's like the Canadian version of Dan Erlewine in my view. Like, it just very hands-on, builds his own tools, very, very skilled. He's done jobs that would probably cause me pause or maybe lose a couple nights sleep perhaps. Just a really, really talented guy. I've learned a lot from him as well. And if I have a challenging job, especially in the early going, when I had a challenging job come in the shop here, I would actually look up Ted Woodford videos to see how he approached the problem. When you're doing a neck reset, for example, you're not always 100% sure what type of dovetail. You may not be 100% sure what type of dovetail you're dealing with. So there's that. You learn from experience. There's certain Yamaha guitars that I will not even attempt to do a neck reset on. Especially some of the earlier kind of like 80s, what they call red label Yamaha FGs, where the necks were set with epoxy. So the Japanese are known for their efficiency. So if you can set a neck with epoxy and 5 minutes later you're putting strings on it, that to them that was like just the best thing you could ever do, right? And in terms of manufacturing, it's really great. The problem is, if you ever have an issue where that neck needs to be reset, the neck set angle needs to be reset, which requires removing the neck, you're kind of euchred. I don't know if anybody really should be paying close to $600 to do a neck reset on a red labeled Yamaha, because I just know going into it, it's going to be an absolute struggle, and it's going to take steam, which I generally don't use. I don't use steam in my shop too often unless it's absolutely necessary. Steam can damage the finish. I use heat probes to do my neck resets, and ever since I moved just to straight heat probes, I've had much better success. Less, sometimes no visible damage whatsoever. You're taking things apart. You can expect there to be, some changes in the finish a little bit, or, there's always caveats, folks. So,
All right. Well, that's awesome, man. Where can we find you? Online?
So I have, JP's Underdog Guitar Repair on Facebook. That's my biggest form of advertisement. I had a very small presence on YouTube many years ago. I kind of abandoned it, and people ask me, well, how come you don't have a stronger YouTube presence? And the reason for that is that my shop is already quite busy here. And I can actually hire somebody now to come in and help, which I couldn't do previous. So I can probably handle more work now that I have a larger location, more efficient. I'm not tripping on myself. More dedicated workstations that do only one thing. Like, my setup bench is only going to be used for setup, so I'm not going to do wiring on it or refinishing or anything like that. So I have, there's areas for everything now. I advertise mostly on Facebook because it's 100% local, and not to sound like I'm abusing the system, but it's direct advertising. Like most of my Facebook friends are musicians. They may not be guitar players, they may be piano players, right? But they know musicians. So if they're watching my videos and they see me do a challenging repair in one of my videos, and they have a friend that's complaining with the same exact problem, they're like, hey, check this guy out, right?
For sure.
So Facebook is direct advertising, so I love Facebook for that. I don't love it for other reasons, but I do love it for the advertising. Same with YouTube. It's not really local advertising for me, and my goal was never really to become a celebrity doing this. I just want to help people in the local community. You know, I don't want guitars being shipped from New Zealand for me to repair. It happens. No, it does. I do get requests from the United States quite often to have guitars shipped here for repair, and I just can't understand the logic in it. There are many, more than Canada, there are many more luthiers, or guitar techs more specifically probably, in the United States than we have in Canada. You know, we do have some custom builders here in town, like Fred Tellier, fantastic builder, great guy, you know, so we do have custom builders here. I do not build scratch guitars. And I think I had a question about that one time, you know, about building from scratch. I don't do that for a couple of reasons. If you want a scratch built guitar locally, you're going to want to go see Dave Radlin for that, or a few other guys. I don't know all of them, and I don't have enough time to name them all. But Dave Radlin builds custom guitars from scratch. He's got a CNC machine. That's the only way you're going to build a guitar locally and actually make any money on it at all. It's a very, very time-consuming process, especially if you're scratch building, literally, like, you know, from start to finish. You're not, you know, you're cutting, you know, maybe you're cutting out the body on the bandsaw, you know what I mean? You're literally scratch build is something that would be probably thousands of dollars to be able to recuperate money from. So unless you are a very, very well-known builder, there's just no money to really be made in it, and you're competing with an Asian market where you could buy a guitar that looks exactly the same as the one you just built from far away, maybe for like $300, right? Yeah. So it's just a market that's oversaturated in my view. If you need a custom guitar for yourself, there's a specific need for that, and I'm fully behind it. Especially if you want something that's just you, right? You have an idea, you want something built specific, then that's a good reason to get a custom built guitar, but it's going to cost you some money. Don't expect it to be cheap, because there's just tons and tons of hours that go into it, right? So I don't have the time for that, would be another really good reason. I'm busy doing a lot of repair here, and that's the core of my business. Lots of setups, lots of neck resets, lots of refrets. I do a lot of refretting here. It's I would say of all the skills that I have, that's probably one of my greatest skills. I have a bench built specifically to do refretting and only refretting. It's designed to take the guesswork out of setting up the neck. It's 100% stable. I can do necks all by themselves. I can do guitars with the body with set neck guitars. I can do all of that, and it's very, very, I've honed that skill, let's just put it that way, and I've worked it over and over and over until I had something that was like completely repeatable, and it's one of my most confident skills here in the shop is refretting. So anyway.
All right. Well, cool. Thanks, man. I've really enjoyed. Thanks for letting me come in and do this.
Hey, you're welcome, man.
Yeah.
Anytime, you're always welcome.
And next time I go through them pretty quick though. Next time one of my guitars comes down or needs some repair, I'll be giving you a shout.
Sounds great, man. So, are we going to see you play any guitar in any of your videos?
Maybe.
If you don't know, folks, Sandy here is quite the guitar player. So, yeah.
He's lying. Anyway. All right. Thanks, man.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks, folks.
You know, guitar builders and guitar luthiers have always held a bit of a special place in my heart. Might be a little bit personal, but actually I got my start because of my grandfather, who was a luthier and a guitar tech as well. It amazes me how they're able to take simple pieces of wood and turn them into items that are not only pieces of art, but also tools, and that you can play. It never ceases to amaze me. Thank you to JP for showing me his new facility, for talking to me about lutherie. I learned so much, and you know what? You're going to see JP in a future episode. I can promise you that. As with the last episode, all of his social media links will be in the description, as are mine. You can check me out on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. This is Sandy from Sandy's Guitars. Remember, keep practicing. You're getting there. Take care.